So you may begin the session.
Yeah, I wish a beautiful day to everyone, those who are joining us from different parts of the world. Research is known as uncovering the unknown. Simply, it's producing new knowledge. In this process, one of the questions that every researcher has to answer is whether the research is impactful. If yes, the next question is, how do I communicate the new knowledge effectively? I believe that this webinar series will give you answers to those two questions. Today, you have joined the second episode of the webinar program, Writing Impactful Research, conducted by the Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka in association with Emerald Publishing and the Gulf Medical University of UAE. So today, let me first warmly welcome the speaker of the session, Professor Vikas Arya from International University of Rabat, Rabat Business School, Morocco, with great respect. Dr. Vikas earned his PhD in digital brand management. As a researcher, he has presented his research work at more than 40 reputed national and international conferences, including EGOS, CPS Denmark, American Marketing Science 2020 conference, and he will present his work at American Marketing Association Winter Conference 2021 also. Professor Arya is a guest editor of 7 international listed journals listed in Scopus and ABDC category. He has published papers in reputed journals such as International Journal of Information Management, which is an A-star journal in ABDC category, and Journal of Retailing and Consumer Studies, which is also an A-graded journal, Journal of Global Information Management, which is again an A category journal. He has also published papers in ABDC B category journals, and he has more than 14 papers published in reputed journal listed in ABDC category or Scopus category. Also, Professor Arya is an expert on data analysis using SPSS, AMOS, Adenco, Smart PLS, Process, Node Excel, and NVivo. And he has conducted various workshops and seminars on research and data analysis. His core research and teaching interests are in consumer behavior, brand management, marketing communication, destination branding, digital mobile apps marketing, brand building using virtual platforms, and communication in healthcare. For his significant research contribution, he has received the Best Young Researcher Award from Global Education and Corporate Leadership Awards 2018. So next, with gratitude, let me also warmly welcome Professor Atula Nyanapala, the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka, and Professor M.S.M. Aslam, Chairman of the Research and Publication Unit of the Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. At the same time, let me warmly welcome our regional coordinators of this webinar series, Dr. Jayantha Devasiri, Senior Lecturer, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka, Miss Sangeeta Menon, Publishing Relationship Manager, Emerald Publishing, Professor Sudhir Rana from Gulf Medical University, and Professor Kashif Said from GIFT University, Pakistan. In fact, they are the team behind this properly organized webinar series. Then with gratitude, let me also welcome Ms. Disha Lakhanpal, Regional Marketing Manager, Emerald Publishing Group. Then with great respect, I would like to welcome all the distinguished participants from Emerald Publishing, Gulf Medical University, and Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. At last but not least, the audience, mainly academics from all the universities worldwide, senior professors, senior lecturers, students, and interested researchers All of you are welcome to the program. So today's the theme is how relevant is the innovative approach in research for targeting high impact journals. During this session, we aim to achieve 4 learning outcomes. Those are, at the end of the session, you will be able to first comprehend the importance of innovative research, innovative approach in research. Second, to comprehend the concept like old wine in new bottle won't work in research. Third, the expectations of reputed journals from the authors. Fourth, new trends in research with regard to standard approach in analysis. So today's session will lead to an interesting discussion on uncovering the unknown. And I would like to cordially invite all of you to get the maximum out of today's session. Please be interactive and make it a wonderful learning day. So let's move to the main session. Professor Vikas Arya, it's over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for a great introduction. I hope my voice is audible to you and all the participants.
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for confirmation. Once again, thank you. Thank you, Emerald, for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with participants at international level, and a special thanks to the organizers, those who are working day and night to organize this marathon webinar, I would say, at international level. Today, I'm going to discuss, as Professor told you just now about that thing, we are going to discuss about innovative approach in management science, which is really required these days. And I do have a kind of PPT, and I guess I have a screen to share. Just wanted to confirm my PPT is visible to you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I just want to minimize this particular pop-up box which is on my screen.
So if you push the orange arrow, which is right at the top, sir, it will just shift to the extreme right. Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So this is like a topic on which we are going to work, how relevant is the innovative approach in research. Before we move for a kind of discussion on this part, I do remember one particular quotation from Santiago. He's a professor, I would say, who have got Nobel Prize in his area, neurology, from Spanish, and he stated one thing very particularly, that all outstanding work in research result from immense zeal applied to a great idea. So ultimately, the idea would work, how you are going to get outstanding work, or how you are going to convert that outstanding work into idea. And I have a next term to add it in this particular quote, that is, and for an outstanding idea, you have to leave your comfort zone. That is the most important factor. I have seen number of researchers these days, they are straight away, I mean, they are in first year of PhD and they are straight away asking me, sir, I want to publish an article in A-star category journal. That is good. I respect that thing, but you have to leave your comfort zone. And leaving the comfort zone means that how many working hours you have prepared for that. Do you have gone through more than 1,000 research articles till date? Do you have a capability to sit more than 12 hours a day for your research? Do you have gone through some pieces in the recent area, or have you gone through the recently published articles in your area? If not, that means you are still living in your comfort zone, and your expectation is to get A-star category journal all the way out of the bloom. That is not going to work, I believe. So you have to leave your comfort zone first of all. Next, these are the some outline on which we are working in this particular session, like as understand of innovative approach, old wine in new bottle, reputed journals, what are their expectations, and new trends in research with respect to standard approach in analysis. All these things we are going to work. So that is one particular image I do have in front of me, and I'm sure you all are having this particular video in front of you, there is a girl who is probably having a morning walk or evening walk, doesn't matter, but do you realize that the natural morning walk itself have got something that is called digital watch? And I have seen one paper in e-category journal where just a small idea, innovative idea, where you just wanted to capture the role of digital watch which could monitor your heartbeat, which could monitor your size or energy level, or I would say the weight loss or something like that. All these kind of physical information is being transferred to your knowledge through watch, digital watch. And on the basis of that particular idea, one particular author have got one publication in a reputed journal. So this is something I would always say, research is something which is always close to your area only. What next you have to do is you just have to figure out that thing, how you are going to connect the idea which is rolling in and around you. So the first concept is to have a research topic. It should be very innovative. That is but obvious. Build on strong theories. Theory part is important because these days I have gone through number of articles, even when we receive articles from reputed journal to review, and we also submit articles to reputed journals. We always receive comment the base theory. What are your base theory? You like in research, I would say in social science, we are having some drawback, and that is not related to medical science. Medical science, if you wanted to prove something, you have innovated something without taking any background, and innovation is giving the result. That itself is good enough. People will recognize you, they would give regards to your innovative idea, and they would get, you would get patent of that particular technology you have developed. Whereas in social science, there is a pattern, and that pattern would tell you to go through some basic research theories which are foundation of your innovative idea, then build those theories on document and associate your idea on that particular, on the line of that particular theory, and then document your introduction. Because introduction is most important part in your research output or in your research article. And most of the articles got rejection just based on poorly written introduction. They neither I mean, either they have not answered the basic questions, what are the important things, why this particular study is innovative, where is research gap, what new problem you are going to address, or basic questions like what, when, and how. So if you are not able to answer those questions in introduction, then your introduction is not strong. And fourth important thing is, if you are not able to associate your article with any established theory, or the association with an established theory is not well defined in your introduction, then generally people, chief editor or people, those who are handling the desk rejection, they would not bother what kind of article you have written. They would straight away reject your article, giving a copy paste kind of answer, like as match, no match with the scope or something like that. You understand better what kind of rejections message you receive. Third important thing is source of data for information. So that is a kind of methodology. After having introduction, you probably would be able to write your conceptual model and hypothesis, but the next part would be methodology. How you are going to establish your methodology with your article, and how you are going to relate your information, that information which you have used to conclude your analysis either based on qualitative survey or based on quantitative survey or longitudinal study, whatever it would be. But you have to have a good justification for that. Last important thing is base paper selection. This is, I would say, one of the major mistake people do when they start writing a research paper for targeting good high impact journal, and that is selection of base paper. I have seen people, when I ask whether you have taken consideration of any A star or A category journal, then they used to say how to get the access of those journals. So I mean, if you really wanted to have a access to those to get your publication in those journals, then you can not see that how to get access of those journals. There are many ways to do that, and most fabulous ways: get a letter from your library or from your HOD and visit to any particular nearest university, IIT, IIM, where they could allow you for 1 hour or 2 hours to visit their campus or to access their library. This kind of collaboration is possible, and you could also establish your networking, whereas people those who have access in this area, especially the publication partner, then they would definitely help you, but it would be a give and take. It does not something like always you are bothering people again and again for same thing, downloading the paper. Of course people would don't do this thing repetitively for you until unless they don't have enough time. The problem is they don't feel bad, but the problem is they don't have a bandwidth to access your help every time. Once in a while would be possible. If someone would ask me to download some paper, I would do that, but every day if someone would ask me to download some paper, it would be very difficult for me to get time for this particular task. So then I would definitely going to suggest, please do visit any nearest library where you could have access through your institute. That would be best way. So best paper selection is one of the important criteria, where you have to build your collection or research paper bank, I would say. The strong you would have your research paper bank, the high chances are there you would get your publication in reputed journal. That is one thing. Here I do have a question with you. The organizer, I want you to know whether participants or people those who are attending this particular workshop, seminar, webinar, they do have access to their mic as well. Hello Disha ma'am, could you please answer, do they have a mic, access to their mic?
No, sir, they do not.
Oh, in that case,
Yes.
I have to go one-way communication. Anyway,
Yes, Dr.
But they
Vikas,
all,
we can have the questions. We can take the questions at the end of
yes,
the session where Disha will be helping you.
yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
they all have the, yeah, they all have the options to put questions. Yes.
Okay, so I would request participants to note it down your questions at the end of the session, so that we could have a great question and answer session as well. Whereas I have jotted down the list of 6 articles on this particular page, and if you could take a pause of 10 seconds to just remind what is common theme over there in these articles, if you could think or if you could imagine. There is two common thing in these articles. There are two things which are really common in these articles. Well, I don't know whether you would be able to get those things or not, but I would tell you one thing is very much similar and very much visible to us. That is Academy of Market Management Journal, Academy of Management Review, Decision Science, Information and Management, Management Information System Quarterly, or JIM. All these journals are A-star category journal. That is one thing. And second thing, if you go through the first line of the article, you would see that they are not talking about what kind of construct you have used in your study. They, this is something like you would came to know that some kind of philosophical article is there, or Shakespeare a kind of literature would have happened, and they have given a different note to their article, and this is a kind of practice is going on. We people at initial stage used to, when we start our research journey, we always focus on our title, and we try to merge or construct in our title necessary or unnecessarily, just to showcase what kind of study we have done, whereas it is not important. I would like to tell you with the example of these articles. Go through this first article: getting the picture too late, hands off and effectiveness of idea implementation in creative work. If you figure out this particular paper, I guess it is being published by Berg, yes, and it is from University of California. This particular article is talking about more than 45,000 of pictures got viral or published or disclosed, I would say, whatever what you could say. Almost 45,000 of movies they have downloaded from server, which has got published in USA, and they have done the analysis of those kind of movies. What is the kind of innovative approach people have used in those movies? it's a very different and innovative, I would say, innovative paper to read. And the most important part over here in this particular article is the title. The first line, getting the picture too late. So that means they are trying to catch your attention, and your title should be something like that which could attract the readers. Reader would have 10 or 15 second. Imagine when you're searching some article on Google Scholar, you would be having 10 or 15 seconds to go through those articles whether to download this article or not. If article is having this kind of line, definitely you would you would take your few seconds to read that particular article or respect what they are trying to say. And that is the era these days. People in A or A star category journal, they are talking about these kind of mechanism where they could attract the reviewers or readers immediately. And you could see the next article would have a different line, the ghost in the machine. What does this mean in research? Actually, you could not figure out what kind of ghost is talking about, the ghost in the machine or the ghost in organizational theory. So yes, he relate one HR related issue with the ghost, and that would be a kind of new word in this research article forum. Next one would be like, just how much does the tail wag the dog? So again, you could see how it is a different domain or different type of style is being happening in all research articles. So that is what I'm telling you. It is a kind of innovation actually. You could see next article, with a little help from my friends. So little help from my friends, it seems like someone is trying to push you to demonstrate that he has got help from his friend, but it does not relate to any research article, whereas they have developed the research article as well, cultivating and online shopping environment. So this kind of, you could figure out that. Next would be, what will be popular next? What will be popular next? So there is a question mark. When you have read about this particular article, you would stay your point for a few seconds and think about that, what would be popular next. And this is what they are going to predict using social media network, what would be popular next. And they would be having an answer for this particular question in this article. Next is like, does digital footprint act as a digital asset? It is something like digital footprint, like the information you left, this your digital information you left while accessing any e-commerce site, that particular information would be considered as a digital asset for one particular agency or not. You can see this trend, what is going on. Whereas I would suggest you to go through these three articles as well. These articles would tell you how you could develop new and innovative approach, not only in write-up part of your title and abstract, but also bringing the new domain in research where you could not figure out something new. Like as the first article talk about social network analysis for social neuroscientists. So again, he's a professor of neuroscientist, and he built the connection of social networking sites and neuroscience. So it is like, neuroscience is not something new, but having a collaboration of neuroscience with social networking sites would be something really new people would want to know. Second thing is like, second article talk about, does virtual currency development harm financial stock value? So still there is a debate going on this particular uh, forum, like digital currency or Bitcoin or virtual currency, whether virtual currency would harm for your financial stock, or would harm for your banking system, infrastructure system, or would harm your organizational structure as well. Because to run a bank, you need almost 20-30 employees. For 20-30 employees, you would be expecting around 5,000 customers, those who have account in that particular bank. And then you would be having one bank manager or a different kind of positions. Whereas having a virtual currency, you don't need all these kind of stuff, you don't need your customer, you don't need your paper formality, and of course you don't need a particular citizenship as well. You could have an account anywhere from and access from anywhere as well. And you would be surprised to know that Starbucks in New York started accepting Bitcoins currency in exchange of, if you wanted to have a coffee over there, if you have a Bitcoin in your mobile, you could transfer that Bitcoin to any particular outlet which is being operated in New York. And after that particular venture, number of companies in USA, even some companies I know in Europe as well, they have started accepting virtual currency. That means you no need to convert your money when you are traveling from one country to another country, and that would be a loss to your financial infrastructure. Governments establish financial infrastructure. This is what something new a domain would be establishing, and you would be having the scope to write your research article in this domain to a great extent. Okay, next term is the influence of terrorism in tourism arrivals, a longitudinal approach or something like that. That is what a new domain. Though on terrorism, especially, people have talked about this particular domain since last 5 to 10 years. But still, number of, if you try to figure out number of articles related to tourism, you would not be able to find. So it would be a good scope for new researchers to figure out what would be the next way if they are trying to catch any good article. And annals of tourism research would be one of the good article you could have. Okay, this is the article I have got published in B category journal somewhere in 2018, and the idea was like in 2018, as I belong to close to Haridwar, where we have recently conducted Kumbh Fair after 11 years, and Earth Kumbh was there in 2018, and that was the idea when I came to know that why not to write a paper on this particular Kumbh Fair, whereas people those who are from international community, I would like to tell you that Kumbh Fair is something which has got certified the virtual event. I would say this is the first intangible event which has got certified by UNESCO. So one of the, I would say only one intangible asset UNESCO would be having in their pocket is known as Kumbh Fair. So when I came to know this particular transition, I worked on this article, and we have got published this article immediately after having very first submission only. So that is something you have to bring out when you are trying to decorate your idea with new research. And if you could decorate your idea with new idea, with new research, or I would say with new innovations which are really closely related to your society, or which could reflect what is going on in your society, then you would definitely get entertained by journals. And journals ultimately, they don't have an intention to reject your manuscript. They are like, people used to complain that I have got rejection from this article, that article, or have got more than 10 rejections. And also, though I would discuss about this rejection part as well later on in this particular conversation only, but I would like to add, people don't have an intention to reject your article. People are actually, they are also in terms of business, not only in making of money, but they also wanted to satisfy their readers, those who have a subscription of those journals. And if they could satisfy those journals readers, then definitely they would get subscription, and they would get appraisal for those kind of publications as well in their especially sure in their journals. And if your article is not talking something relevant which they would find their readers would accept that, or their readers would get something new after this particular article, they would not entertain your study. So instead of putting your article in a frame of journal, I would say try to put the article in a frame of journals reader as well. And when you came to know how to link this particular tactics, how to connect the journals reader, then you would definitely get your article published in any journal, doesn't matter whether it is A or A star or FT50 as well. But to get this particular output, you have to learn a lot. Okay, here I do have a next picture in front of me, and I used to discuss about this picture many times, but this is really like very fascinating picture. It would tell me number of ideas to do the research. If you are struggling how to get the study done, or how to get the new study in a particular domain which has got exhausted already, so I would be having an answer for you. The first topic which you could collect from this particular picture is like, it is an extension of TAM model, technology acceptance model. Technology acceptance not only for the person who is booking the cab, but also the person who is driving the cab as well. It is a kind of Ola or Uber cab, or any kind of online taxi driving service agency operating in any part of country. They have accepted this particular thing, technology acceptance. The technology acceptance would be at next level, and this there would be a scope for you to figure out new article on this. Another way is experiential IoT, how they are having an experience of internet of things kind of thing using Ola or Uber cab, or it's not only for the person who is sitting inside the cab and person who is driving this particular cab. They are also person is also sharing their location to someone to whom they wanted to reach, or the person to whom they wanted to meet, and the person could trace your location immediately, and could understand how far you would be from that person and when you're going to reach to that particular location. So this is what we are experiencing, the IoT kind of thing. You could have a domain in this area where you could write good research article in this domain too. Next thing is entrepreneurship. I have met number of people. Even when I used to travel Ola and Uber, I used to talk with those people, drivers, and they used to say that they were earning 20, 30K in India per month. So 20,000, 30,000 per month is decent earning, I would say, to that level where these people are working. Whereas they left their job and they started, they have taken a loan from bank and they started running Ola and Uber. There would be some reasons. What the reasons they are giving to me is really surprised and shocking. They wanted to claim that here we don't have a boss, we have our own schedule time, we could start our journey for the day at what time we wanted to start. We don't have to please to our boss to get leave, and of course we could enjoy our on and off timing as well. And there are number of reasons. They could have a vacation for 1 week or 2 week, or if they wanted to drop their children to their school, they could do that, and then after that they could go for all over driving. So this kind of new behavior is coming. Generation is showing new behavior in this domain. So you could check those kind of entrepreneurship behavior, collecting the data from these people. And of course business strategy is something like people those who are like Uber is having a head office somewhere out of country, out of India, and probably it is in Australia, and they're probably having around max to max they would be having around 5 to 7,000 employees in India, whereas they are running crores of business. So you could figure out that how you could develop a kind of that kind of business strategy where your manpower is not more important, but your execution of your business plan is more important. You could figure out those things. Next thing is behavioral theory changes, how behavior is getting changed, how people are using all an Uber car instead of booking a cab on telephone and mobile, calling a person and all. Digital marketing is another area where you could explore. Revolution in HR is another area. You people would ask what is the revolution in HR in this area, where I would say that if you wanted to catch, let's imagine if you wanted to catch 10,000 customer for your company, what would be your business model? You would have to establish one head office where you would have to have a general manager, head office, and some staff who would entertain all those kind of production and service industry itself. You would have to have a counter office, and then you would have to have a back end office and PN and all these things. And most important thing is one established physical office, whereas in this particular digital mobile era you no need to have an office. Even imagine Swiggy and Zomato, online food chain company in India, and probably the same kind of company in other part of world. They don't need anymore any kind of office. They are operating all the office through virtual mode only, and that virtual mode is working, and it could be a threat to organizational structure, and it could be a revolution in HR domain. You have to explain those who are in expert in this domain. They have to figure out this. We discussed about organizational structure, and e-commerce financing is, I would say, one of the next area where you could figure out that how payment is getting transfer from my e-wallet to driver's e-wallet or the company e-wallet, and how company is sharing that particular profit to the driver, and without having any mediocre, driver is getting their profit and incentives, and how people are getting benefit based on the direct discount they are getting, or this voucher or a kind of coupon they are getting. Instead of doing the publicity on television, they are giving direct benefit to the customers, and through e-commerce or mobile apps, these kind of things are really possible and could changing the business scenario. Okay, I would tell you one more thing. Government of India have given the initiative recently. If your study or PhD thesis would directly benefit the society, then we would give you sponsorship to do your PhD, and that is a kind of thing, a very new and innovative thing people have done. And reason being is, what was the scenario earlier? We have seen many theses. I'm not blaming any institute or any professor for this practice, but what we people were doing, like since many years, if you have any particular model, people have examined the behavior of employees in bank, then another next scholar would be using the same model and move to, instead of bank, to post office to check the employees satisfaction or employees behavior towards the organization, or they would be moving another domain to check the same thing. But those things are not giving any real output which could directly benefit your society. Whereas if you wanted to benefit your society, try to link your thesis according to that way. And there was a news, I forgot that person name, and that news was in air in last week itself. There was a person who did his PhD after running a business, and even after completing his PhD, his business moved from 1,000 crore to 20 lakhs crores, and that was because of his PhD work output only. And related to this particular constructive PhD, I have gone through. I was going through the newspaper today morning only, and I figured out that particular problem in Himachal Pradesh. That is one particular state in North India. It's a hill station where kiwi is getting a kind of fruit. This is being uh, farming over here in Himachal Pradesh state, and they are manufacturing. Of course, the production of this particular kiwi would be like uh, 5 rupees per kiwi. People are selling this particular kiwi to the marketers, and whereas marketers are selling this kiwi around 40 to 50 rupees per kiwi to the customer. So rest of the benefit, you could imagine, 5 rupee per kiwi they are selling to the uh, person who is purchasing this kiwi from the farmers, and those persons are selling this kiwi to the marketers or to the mandis at 40 to 50 rupees per kiwi, whereas they are purchasing this kiwi in kg, and they are selling the same kiwi in numbers with respect to 30 rupees, 40 rupees per kiwi, per fruit, I would say. You would have a chance to go over there to figure out that particular problem and develop a business model, how you could develop a business model, how this particular these particular farmers could correlate their business with the number of uh, online portals where they could sell their product, they could sell their fruits directly to the customer, or to the different e-commerce portals, or I would say to the different real estate uh, I would say real estate fruit chains, like as Reliance Fruit Mart or Big Bazaar or something like that. So they would increase their profit by that way. But someone have to come up with this kind of idea, to take the initiative to do the study in this domain and give this solution to the government of Himachal Pradesh, and then have to do, do this project, how to get the, how to maximize the profit of these people directly to these farmers, to generate more revenue for them. And I do remember there is a competition, global uh, uh, that is GOMC competition is there. I forgot the name, full form of that particular competition. Whereas Google used to give some grant to the people to do the to promote the website. First, you have to develop the website, then you have to promote that website on social, using social media platform, or Google AdWord as well, so that that particular project could give the benefit to the grassroots people. And I do remember one of the professor from Nursing Home Institute, Mumbai, won this particular competition 2 times, and she was the first lady in Asia who won this competition 2 times consecutively from on behalf of India. And the project was like there were farmers in Maharashtra, those who were who were committing suicide because of debt or because of not getting much profit. So she has developed a project like that. She developed a website, and then she put those kind of fruits over those websites and did the promotion for those farmers. Collectively, she created a uniform society. That particular society would have to sell their fruits, mango fruits, on using that particular website, and they start getting profit within a one season only. They have got profit, very huge profit, and they start making a money. And that kind of project you could also do, and in you could suggest to your researchers to do practical study which could directly benefit to the society. And if you are doing this kind of research, then definitely you are trying to improve your society to the next level with the help of your research equipment. Okay. I, I believe most of the Indians could relate this particular picture. This is a person who play a role on behalf of Milkha Singh, who was a gold medalist in Olympic, and one of the person who have got number of awards in running. There was a film couple of years back Indian cinema have produced, and this picture is from that particular movie only. The output or takeaway from that particular movie was, don't focus on going from 0 to 100. I have seen number of researchers, as I started my talk from that particular statement. You start talking about straight away how to move from uh, not having a single publication to directly have a A-star publication in your bucket. It is not an overnight journey. If you would ask any person, not only to me, but any person who is getting a A-star category publication or one A-star category publication, if you ask that person how much working hours he has invested on that particular paper, you would come to know that you would be working probably more than 2.5 years or 3 years on that article. Then only he has got published that article. Or probably he have already invested number of hours to get the training done on that particular area, so that he would be able to write a quality article which could meet the standard of those journals. And this is what in real life also we used to figure out, that focusing on going 0 to 1, then try to go from 10 to 20, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and so on and so on. And then you would slowly and gradually you would reach at 100. What is your ultimate target? And it is also important when you reach at 100, how to sustain over there. That would be an art. It is not only, I mean, you might get one paper in good rank journal, but getting your articles published in good rank journal back to back would be an art. And for that you definitely have to build your research concept clearly. You have to be expert in one of the methodology. You have to build your network. You have to get the support from the right person as well. And right person would definitely, anyone would get associate with you when you are 90. When we talk about in Indian scenario, we used to talk 1920 is a scale. Like if you are 2020 means 100%. If you are 100% a researcher, then yeah, I mean, if you have got one E category publication and someone is trying to approach you, at least that person have to show uh, something to that person to influence or to associate with with you. And that would be like if you have got publication in B category or C category, or if you are having a good research writing skill, or if you are having a good analysis skill, something on, I would say you cannot be good in everything, but you have to be good in one thing, and that you have to select in which area you could be one of the best. And if you could explain yourself you are one of the best in that area, then definitely sky is the limit for you. You have to be one of the best in your area, and rest you have to build your networking and collection of right people in your bucket. Then only the collective efforts would give you results back to back. and that is what they have said in this particular movie. Build sustainable habit through gradual progression. When you have a gradual progression, or gradually you reach to the successful point, then you would not, there are very less chances you would get fall down immediately. You would be able to sustain over there, and that would be the era where you could retain your success for a long. Okay, so next thing is best way to do the research. Well, Dr. Disha, I would just wanted to ask, I do have a time till 2:30, right?
Yes, sir, you do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so best
So,
way
but
to do the research.
we would definitely,
Yeah,
would like to take questions as well. So, if you can
yeah,
leave some time for questions, yeah.
definitely. I would try to wind up at 2 o'clock within next 40
Yes.
minutes. Then we will take 20,
Perfect.
30 minutes for question and answer for sure. Okay, so like best way to do the research, people used to ask me what would be the best way, professor, could you please suggest, and there would be some output they used to come up with me, like they would have a hypothesis means they have drawn some model, like this would be the model, let me connect brand attachment with brand equity, or mobile apps engagement with brand equity, or loyalty with something and something and something. I have joined 4 or 5 construct all together, build up the mediation and put some moderation as well. And then I thought my model is ready, my concept is ready. Let me research it. Research it means let me get some articles who have published related articles, or they're based on these constructs whichever I have used, and then let me collect the textual information from those articles, remove the plagiarism, collect the data, write the paper, and submit it quickly to a particular journal. And the ultimate thing is, of course, everyone would love to become famous after publication. But I would say this is not the best way. You cannot get success with this way. If you go with this way directly from your first way to research, you would not be able to success. You would again and again you would you would receive rejection from people, and that would be like picture is saying that you have to you are creating garbage for research community if you are following this particular thing. The best way to get your article published is, first of all, your backup plan. What is your backup plan? Backup plans means what is your homework? Have you gone through 100 plus papers in the same line? First thing would be, have you attended number of workshops to brush up your statistical concept first? I do remember when I was doing my PhD from 2015 to 2018, first 2 years I have attended more than 20 workshops. Could you imagine? And I was a regular research scholar in my university. How I managed my teaching load, and how I have managed going out of university to other state to attend the workshops and all. I only know, or my guide only knew that. But I have attended more than 20 workshops to brush up my research statistical knowledge first. These days, you would be having a plethora of knowledge flow through virtual mode, and number of people are organizing, including me, organizing number of workshops on online platform, and you would be having number of videos as well. But in those days, we would not be having those videos available on YouTube. Plus online virtual mode kind of workshop would be next to thing impossible, a kind of thing we would be having. But I have done that kind of workshops in different way. I have attended more than 20 workshops to brush up my knowledge, and always I used to have a kind of model where I used to go through at least 20 articles. I used to go through in a week, so that I could know that how people are doing research, what kind of important things they are mentioning in their articles, how they are using that particular analysis output they have got from the analysis, and how they are using that particular analysis in their result. That is most important thing you also have to figure out. So that is one thing. At least go through 100 plus paper before establishing your conceptual model. Next thing is how to relate the theories with new concept. That would be new thing. Uh, you might struggle that I have developed a new concept. How people are using fake videos or fake pictures. There is a domain where people are there are agencies, by the way, those who are developing fake pictures. Fake pictures means those pictures are not exist, persons are available in those pictures are not exist on earth. Still they are designing those pictures and they are using those pictures in a different concept, for a different concept, to do some advertisement where no one is ready to do the endorsement. And of course there are a number of ways where they could use those unreal pictures of human. And if you want to do a study, you could see that how this is a very new concept, how this could be related to a theory. But the concept would be new, but the application of those concepts would be same. Like as product or service, we do have only two domains. Either you would be having a product or you would be having a service. And for product and service, you would be having consumers, you would be having producers, you would be having marketers as well. And related to consumers, producers and marketers, wherever you go, whatever new concepts you do have, you would find these three dimensions everywhere. And you would be having number of theories related to these three concepts, these three domain, like as manufacturer, marketers and consumers. So relate your product to those theories and develop a concept based on the theory. Next important thing is most important part in research paper to focus on. When I would try to connect with that particular thing, when you have collected or downloaded the base paper, good quality research papers, so there would be chances research paper, the base paper you have downloaded would be having a relevant subjective information for you. That means only literature review is available according to your study. The data analysis part would not be available. For instance, if you wanted to figure out brand equity is a concept, consumer based brand equity, which has got established in 1988. Whereas if you wanted to use smart PLS software and you have developed a kind of model where you wanted to check brand equity for an online commerce portal, so you have to go to that particular article which has got published in 98. That would be your base paper for your literature. Whereas if you wanted to use the software called smart PLS, then you have to go with the Professor Ringal and Marco paper, how and when to use smart PLS, which has got published in 2019. So you have to relate two papers which is having a, those are having a gap of around 30 years when they got published. So this is what you have to know, that how you have to relate the important part of those research articles in your research. That is most important thing. And major problem in data analysis, I have seen number of paper got rejected because of data analysis as well. Either they have used a different mechanism to satisfy, or methodology was not correct to do that particular analysis, or they have not done the in-depth analysis in data analysis. So there is no alternative for that, guys. Frankly speaking, you have to spend your number of hours, and I would say at least 400 to 500 hours you have to do yourself, train 400 to 500 hours to do the analysis. Once you equip with that analysis is a kind of factual thing. If you learn that factual thing, it would not get changed, it would get advanced to the next level, which you could collect immediately after going through some video or article. But one thing is, if you have invested 300 400 hours to learn the analysis, then rest of the thing would be very easy, and that would be to connect your new idea with the literature support. The analysis would not be changed. You could do analysis using SPSS, using MOS, using process macro, using Adenco, using smart PLS or ANN, or even in literature review as well. There would be same mechanism. The only thing is you have to learn those mechanisms. Last important thing is, what are the things which as a reader or as a editor or as a person, as those who are working at test rejection, you have to focus on. And those people focus majorly on your introduction, your managerial and theoretical implication. If you could give your 110%, I would say not 100%, 110% to build your introduction smartly, to build your managerial and theoretical implications smartly. Smartly does not mean like people used to claim that go for smart work, don't go for exhaustive work. Whereas I would say in research, when you wanted to do research or to publish your article, there is no word called smart work. If you believe on this smart work, you would not be able to get success. I'm again repeating this, and it would be very harsh statement for you guys, but it is actually true. You have to go with the hard work, and that's the only key in research. You have to go through the number of research articles. You have to spend your 400, 500 hours to learn the data analysis part. You have to read the articles related to your domain. You have to read the articles from A star or A category journals in numbers to learn how they are writing how they are writing the content in their articles. And if you would not be able to give number of hours to do the expertise, to get the expertization in these three domains, you will not be able to write your smart introduction, managerial and theoretical implication. That is most important thing. And missing part would be relevant references. So relevant references is like, we sometimes do copy paste from different journals, and we used to forget that what is the base theory, who have developed this base theory. And if we are not going giving the reference of those base theory in our introduction, or let's say we have introduced one particular theory in research, but we have not talked about much about that particular theory or definition, we just trying to bypass those information, we are not giving proper reference, then it would be very difficult for you to influence the editor or influence the reviewers to give positive comment about your article. That is one thing. Okay, check the time. I do have around 20 minutes, and I have to skip few things, otherwise it would take time. So probably I would try to touch more important factors in this particular thing. Okay, what makes a good paper? There are two important things where I would try to these are the 10 factors, 10 points where you could work very smartly to figure out what are the important things. But I would try to bring one thing to your knowledge, that is sound logical progression of arguments. And that is like logical progression argument is something like the connection between previous line to the next line. And this connection most of the times editors or reviewers find in your introduction immediately, and they could figure out that whatever you are trying to relate, your previous statement and next statement are not connecting with each other, and there's supposed to be a gap. And if they find that gap, then there would be a problem for your management. You will not get positive feedback immediately. Always take your pause whenever you are writing or building a literature review, or trying to develop a conceptual model. Try to start your new statement with the support of previous statement always. If the new statement is not having a support from the previous statement, it would be very tough for you to influence the reviewers. And next important thing is internationality, and I would say global focus. Imagine the journal is being published from UK, and most of the editors are from UK only. They and probably the journal is in I'm not expecting I'm not talking about, let's say, A category or A star or FT50. The journal is very average, listed in B category, though B category is not that much average. It's a very pronounced, whereas in ABDC you would have around 900 journals which are listed in ABDC B category only. So they are very much prominent out of 25,000 Scopus listed journals. In social science, you would be having only 900 journals which are in ABDC B category list journals. So let's say you wanted to try that journal being published from UK, most of the editors from UK only, and what you are trying to submit to that particular journal is a study which has got uh, I mean, the study which is talking about the particular community or particular respondent which have got selected, or the response were collected from the respondent, those who are part of one of particular city of your state. Let's say there is a Punjab. In Punjab, there is one particular city called Patiala, or Jalandhar, or you could say Amritsar, where Golden Temple is there. You wanted to collect the sample, your sample size is collected from Amritsar only, and you wanted to influence that particular chief editor who is sitting somewhere in UK, who doesn't know where is Punjab first of all as a state, and next important thing, he doesn't know where the city called Amritsar would exist or not. Then what is the implication of your study to the international community? How you could relate that? That is something. You have to work on that, and there would be a smart way. In my one of my research article, where we have collected the data of some startup agencies from I would say from northeast part of India, and how we have built that particular structure to the international scenario, bringing that India is part of BRICS organization, and it's an emerging country, whereas around these are the number of emerging countries are there, and if we could connect that particular scenario to the international level. Whereas, let's say if it is Amritsar only, you have collected the data from Amritsar only. Don't disclose this in your title or introduction or abstract. Try to disclose this in your methodology part, and try to frame that particular paper in that way logically. I'm not saying that trying to fit that particular thing illogically. Try to fit that thing logically to your introduction. You have to comprise this particular study in the context of international environment, where the BRICS country were there, and they were India is part of that particular BRICS combination, where you could also contributing to this particular BRICS contribution aims and objective, and this particular state is giving more production in this particular domain or in this particular product, and how you have collected this. So you would be having a justification for that. But now you have to relate that if same kind of study would be conducted at international level, or any country, any part from that particular country which is under the BRICS organization, then results would be same. If this kind of implication is there, then chief editor sitting somewhere in UK would relate that this is a kind of a study which they wanted to relate with the help of something like BRICS organization, or an organization of countries who are underdeveloped or who are developing. Then the area would have been broad now. Instead of talking about directly Punjab Amritsar, data is collected from Punjab Amritsar. That is not enough. That means you are not smart enough to justify your methodology, which we have talked about. Okay, we already talked about titles using those I mean, that was the second particular second PPT in this particular communications, how you have to create your title. Statement of problems. Let me check the time. I do have a time to discuss about this topic. What is the kind of topic you are going to discuss? The gap, research gap, that is most important thing. And most of the introduction part I have seen, I used to research number of articles when they used to come to me. If they are not talking about research gap cannot be something which you have imagined your own. You have you had a dream yesterday night, and you thought that this would be a research gap, and let me put this on text in a textual format, and let me submit this article. It cannot be a research gap. Research gap is something which people have left in their study. Let's say someone have done the study on mobile apps, whereas they have talked in their at the end of their limitations or end of their article, they would be having one sub team sub division like this future scope and limitations. So in future scope and limitation, if they talk about some research gap, what is a kind of research gap, or what could be they were expecting in future, researchers could do that. If you take a reference from that, and then you build that particular research gap as an important base of your study in your introduction, that would be justifiable. As I told you, in social science, we cannot go by our own statement. That would be a research gap. You have to give a support. Like as in medical science, there would be a research gap. You are no need to have a support. Like as I've seen yesterday only, there was a scientist from Bhopal, that is in Madhya Pradesh, one of the state, central state in I would say middle. That state is middle of the country, and one of the scientists, she's a lady. She has developed a particular product, a kind of chip which have to be pasted on COVID-19 vaccine, and if the cost of that particular chip would be around 10 to 15 rupees only, and that chip would tell you whether the vaccine is throughout from manufactured date to the date it is being injected in your body, throughout that particular period, if the medicine would have been kept in the desired temperature or not. If at any point of time, or any point of at any specific duration, that particular medicine moved away from desired temperature to the excessive temperature, then the label would being converted from green to red, and that would be a research gap. She does not need any support for that. The innovation itself would be telling the results. and that is acceptable. She had got the patent and she is trying to put this technology at international level now, and that would be something new. So in research science, whereas you have to get the support from previous studies, previous research, whatever people have done and people have thought, then only you would talk about this. Okay, the evidence, the deficiencies, audience is most important. I would have to discuss about this, to whom you are writing your research article. That is most important, whether in the context of journal or in the context of journal's audience or in the context of giving doing a study, case-based study from a particular community, particular society, that you have to justify in your article. Based on that, people would entertain you. Okay. Uh, Structure of your paper, I'm not going to talk about that. You would be having number of things in your bucket of what would be the best structure. For best thing, you could check any good articles from A or A star journal, what would be the structure of that particular article. But more important thing is, what is the problem, what is new you are going to address in your research. Are there any existing solution? If not, then what kind of solutions you are giving, which one is the best solution out of those options you are producing or you are putting on table, and what is its main limitation as well. Limitation would also be there. You cannot be 100% successful. It is not medical science. And what do you hope to achieve out of that article, you have to figure out that too as well. There is some kind of data, why you wanted to publish article in journals. Based on some output, I have figured out that people are like, people do publish based because of they wanted to grow in career, because they wanted to develop in subject knowledge, or they have their own business, or they want to do this for getting the recognition at international and national level. So there would be some requirement, but the most important thing is how to figure out that particular important journal, which journal is important for you. There are something which you could figure out, that is first thing is impact factor. What is the impact factor of journal? There are some website as well who could, where you have to just paste the name of that particular journal and you could get the uh, impact factor of that journal. Whereas sometimes journals also do disclose their impact factor on their own website, and there is Web of Science as well, who used to publish the list of articles based on their impact factor every time. For Scopus, where the journal is listed in Scopus, and what is the H index. samagozar.com is the website where you could figure out that what is the samagozar and how you could find out that. Google Scholar would also tell you what is the right journal where you could submit your article, and that is what something like, if you have a keyword, just press those keywords in your journal in that Google Scholar, and it would tell you the articles published using this keyword, article published since last 2 years, 3 years, or you have to select the range. Let's say you wanted to consider in last 3 years, based on organizational structure, how many articles got published. You would get that list immediately on Google Scholar. Then you could also figure out that the article published in which kind of journal, what is the name of that journal. Then you could also submit your article to that particular journal based on that thing. So I do have a short of time, I'm not going to disclose this in detail. Whereas there is a list of journals ranking as well. Web of Science, you could get this detail of Web of Science, whether the articles are listed in which category, SCI, SCI, ESCI, or something like that. ABDC list is also there, and ABS list is also there. SCA Magozar would also tell you what is the impact factor of journal and all. So you could take a screenshot of this, and you could also search on Google to figure out whether journal is listed in category or not. And that would also help you to trace the fake journal as well, which is like these days, in when you are starting your research journey, you would be desperate to get publication immediately, or to encounter your thesis YY as well. I have seen number of scholars got stuck in fake publication as well. So always try to take a good benefit of these original resources, how to figure out good journals. And next important thing is individual profile. Google Scholar and ResearchGate, you also have to build your Google Scholar profile. Of course, you could take a help of Google Scholar to search the articles, whereas you would be having your own profile as well on Google Scholar. And I would try to Okay, I would try to showcase one more thing to you. In good rank universities, the recruiters are asking about your H index as well. H index is based on your number of citations people have done based on your published article, or your published article have got cited by a number of articles submitted or published by other authors, or other authors, how many times other authors have used your articles. Based on that, your H index would get improved. So this would be the next criteria in future, where you no need to prove something, or you need to showcase your entire CV or send your entire CV. The only thing is you just have to showcase your Google Scholar link, where they would check what is your H index and who are those articles which have got published and cited by a number of authors, and then based on that they would do your recruitment. But that recruitment would be at high level, not for assistant or associate level, because that would be the time when you are going to establish your profile. But yes, there are number of people those who have got article, even citations based on one article only. I have seen number of articles, number of authors, they have got 85,000 citation for one single article only. So you have to know that how they are getting those kind of citations for one article. And if you have done a very good study, and that one study would be good enough for you to give a good result throughout your life. And for that, you have to encounter something new, or you have to develop some new concept to the society, where you could okay, you could deal with the new articles, or you could get number of citations continuously. And of course, LinkedIn would be one of the best profile way, and people would shift to in upcoming days, people would shift to LinkedIn very smartly, and they would require your LinkedIn profile. So always try to build your LinkedIn profile very precisely and very, I would say, very decoratively. And the real information would have to be there on LinkedIn, so that you, one who is going to recruit you, could search your LinkedIn information and all. Okay, talking about rejection, could you remember anyone who is this guy? Just take a pause for 5 seconds if you could remember this guy. And I would talking about I have used one particular GIF in my research, in this presentation only number of time, and that GIF was associated with this person. I hope you have got the idea, but it is it is one of the greatest person called Thomas Alva Edison. And Thomas Alva Edison have said that I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that wouldn't work. That won't work. So it is very simple. If you are getting rejections from different journals again and again, that does not mean your paper is your concept is not good. You are just trying to figure out that this is not the way to get success. You have to improve this again. You have to improve this again and again. And he improved his technology around 10,000 times, and then he made the history. And ultimately, people would remember you based on your success, not based on the number of attempts you have gotten. And what I'm doing these days is, of course, I'm receiving number of rejections every week, and I have created a different folder in my email, and I'm transferring those emails to my folder, and I could disclose that particular folder to you one day. But definitely it would give me an energy, like when I receive those numbers increasing day by day, that means I'm trying to improve my articles again and again. What kind of mistake I'm making? And I used to read those comments again and again, so that when I'm going to write new article next time, I would not repeat those mistake in my article. This is the way to take the rejections positively, one thing. And second thing is, why you got rejection. Probably it is because of author's guideline. Your guidelines, author's guidelines, every journal is having some guidelines. You have missed those guidelines, probably because of the structure of the paper, or minimum number of words required, or particular style of article, or particular format of images. There would be a number of things, guideline. So always try to go through author's guideline very precisely before making any submission. Next thing is, mismatch of aim and scope of journal would be one of the major important thing. I would say almost 50 to 60% articles got rejected because of second issue, mismatch of aims and scope. Because author's guideline, sometimes you get a revision from desk only, please revise this particular thing. But if it is mismatched with the aims and scope, they would not give you reason. They would directly copy paste some response to you and reject your manuscript immediately. And next important thing is poor English, because journal would be having a different level of expectations, and if your expectations are not at par their expectations, then they would not entertain your manuscript, I would say. And of course, the most important thing is new to reader. What is new to reader? It is not new to journal. It could be new to journal, but journal would not accept your manuscript until unless it is not new to their readers. If they could not find something new would have been delivered by your manuscript to their reader, they would not entertain your manuscript in their journal. And you have to understand this gap. They are not publishing your manuscript to promote you or to promote themselves. They are publishing your new work, new articles, new concepts, so that they could give something new to read to their readers. So when you start thinking about this direction, I would say when you start thinking in this direction, then you would be able to trace those journals, how you have to get publication. And last but not the least, insufficient contribution to the field, that is managerial contribution. And when we talk about submissions, let's say there is a journal which is getting 100 submissions per day, then almost 24 get rejected at test level. Only 48% got editor's decision positively. Some 28% got revision. After revision, 10% got withdraw. And somehow this is a kind of structure. You would see that ultimate decision would go whether okay is 26 or revise is 3%, and only out of 100, 29 or 30% article got published. And even in top class journals A or A star, this rejection rate is, acceptance rate is almost 10% as well. So you no need to worry whether everything is good after your manuscript journals are rejecting your article. Could be it is because they have a limitation to accept only 10 or 12% articles. And if your article is at 15%, not in those 12%, it is in top 15%, that means you are in those 3%. And those 3% means your does not mean your article is bad. It means that something is missing over there and you have to figure out another journal. A request for revision is always good. I would say if you have got the request from any editor for revision, it doesn't mean you have to take that negatively. You are now in publication cycle, and I would say also that every article would get revision at least once. And even if your day is really very bad, I have seen from one of the top class journal, after having 5 revision, you could imagine, after having 5 revisions and journal were going through I mean submission were going through in that particular journal, that was the E category journal, of almost around 14 months, we have got rejection. And based on one single line, could imagine that particular frustration, based on one single line. And that single line was one of the item we have used in one of the construct, that was not sufficient enough to explain that particular item of that particular construct. So for just one single item, we have misplaced some grammatical issue, and the sense have got changed. And at the 5th level of revision, reviewer have rejected our paper after taking the paper in their bucket for more than 15 months. So it would be a case. So revision is good always. Like as this fish, you are in this pot, and to move out of this pot, that is the acceptance level. So you have to take a risk, and when you have taken a calculative risk to handle the revisions, you would get your publication for sure. Evaluation criteria, I would be having another 10 minutes to discuss this, and would be having another 5 PPTs only. So I would cover this, then we'll take a discussion session. Evaluation criteria on which people or reviewers used to review your articles, and you have to understand that that is relevance. Does the subject of the study appeal to the interest of the board or attendees? So that is one thing. I'm talking about this thing, relevancy, since the very first hour of this particular webinar. That is relevancy of your topic to the recent days, recent time. Methodology, that is more important thing. Originality, your article is original or not. Research output, what is your research, and what is your conclusion. Sometimes we have seen relevance methodology or is relevancy methodology, research and conclusion, managerial theoretical implications, all are good, but the originality is missing. And if you could see that in case of Emerald writing style, when you have to submit an article in any of Emerald journal, they would be having a structured abstract formatting, and there they would be having one sub theme, that is originality of your study. You have to explain that. In case of Emerald, you would be having by default you have to discuss about originality, but when you are targeting any other journal, you always try to focus what is your originality in your study, whether it is under subheading or not, but you have to explain this thing. Rest of the things, I'm sure if you have gone through very critically and you have spent almost 500 to 700 hours to improve your skills, then you would take all those things, but originality is something where you have to work hard a lot again. Okay, how to handle revision. I do remember one more thing. There is an article we have got submitted in C category journal somewhere in 2017. We have got acceptance within that year only, whereas journal would be taking extra time to get published because of heavy load, and they said it would take another 13-14 months to get live your paper. We have rejected that. We have withdrawn that paper. Then we started working on that paper, and why I'm sharing this information to you, what is the difference between C category to A, B and B to A? We have started working to build that paper so that we could submit that paper in B category journal. I have taken especially 4 to 5 months gap, and continuously day by day I used to handle that paper almost 2 to 3 hours a day, and then after 4 or 5 months we would be able to submit that paper in B category journal. And to my shocking, I mean, that was a very shocking to me. We have got the revision from one of the B category journal on the very first submission for that article. Then we have decided that if we incorporate these changes to the B category journal, again rejected our paper, but we would be very satisfied if we would be able to change these changes, then definitely we could target A category journal as well. But to reach that level, again we have to spend around 80 hours on that particular manuscript. So this is what I used to say to my research community always, to my scholars always, to my colleagues. If you are writing for C category journal, you need a proper timing schedule. But when your manuscript is ready, if you wanted to target that manuscript from C to B, then you have to spend around 60 to 70 hours more to develop that particular manuscript to B category level. Once your manuscript is ready to B category level, if you wanted to jump to A category level, then you have to spend again, I would say 40 to 50 hours. But in that 40 to 50 hours, you have to change your manuscript almost 80%. Percentage would also matter. If your manuscript would be same, idea is not innovative, then of course whatever changes, whatever number of hours you are spending on your manuscript, you will not be able to influence the reader. So that is the first thing. If you have an innovative idea and that innovative idea would have been handled very precisely, then you could handle those comments very easily and you could handle revision. And I do remember one of my paper that has got published in A star category journal. When we have submitted that article, it was like 38 pages. Length of that article was 38 pages. When we have got the revision from A star journal and we have submitted the revision of that particular article, the I would say revised article would have reached to 38 pages to 59 pages. And that was a kind of dedication we have delivered to develop that particular article, because we know that if we would make any single mistake over here, straight away our article would get rejected. And always take your revisions very precisely, very, I would say not smartly, but very you have to show your concentration, very high concentration level to justify those comments. And to justify those comments, we have increased the article's length from 38 to 69 pages, and after that we have got the acceptance. We are moving close to the discussion part, I would say ending part of this particular uh, session, and that is like when you have got good articles in your bucket, always try to trace your article progress wisely and try to put those information on Facebook and LinkedIn or to your colleagues. It is not always like you are trying to over showcase yourself. It is not something like that. It is something like you are trying to motivate someone. You are trying to share the knowledge with someone who cannot afford or who could get the guidance from you after going through your article would be very happy. Ultimately, it's a collective society efforts. You cannot say that you are the only reason for your success if you have got one E category or A star category publication. Entire community research academy would have helped you, like as those who have the articles you have taken as a base paper might have published in somewhere in Spain or somewhere in USA. They have also used some resources from different universities or different publication houses. Then only you have got that particular article which could influence you or motivated you to write your manuscript. So that is a ultimately, I would always say, that is a collective efforts, not only from you. You have just documented your idea, but to the documentation of that particular idea in a textual form, number of researchers have already helped you indirectly, and you have to support those things while you are on social media platform. When new researchers are coming and approaching you, never ever show attitude to them and to say it is not possible or it is almost impossible what you're trying to reach. Everything is possible in research, and I have seen very recently one of the research scholar from NIT Rourkela. She has got published in A-star category journal and she has just submitted her thesis. She has not awarded her thesis yet. This is a kind of trend. It is going on nowadays in India as well. Previously, if we talk about these things, let's say somewhere in 2010 or 8, we would not be having an idea what is AVDC. We would be very happy to get published our articles in local local publishers only. But nowadays, researchers are very informative. They already have the informations in their hand, and being a guide, you would be stuck sometime. You don't have that much of either expertization on any particular tool or data analysis tool. That is very much fair. You could not be expert in all the area. The only thing is base. If you have a base to guide that particular research scholar, to give a conceptual clarity to that particular scholar, or to get associate your scholar with one of the prominent researcher, that will also be good. I have seen number of times researchers are complaining that their guides are not allowing them to get collaborate with other people. That is not something you're supposed to do. And I mean, humans, that is not something we're supposed to do. If we are not competent in one particular software, could be possible. I'm only competent in data analysis part only. But if any kind of this non-descriptive study would come to me, I have to take help from others, or I have to guide people. Please go to that particular person to get the help, because I'm not expert in that. Instead of demotivating scholars or giving them vague directions or wrong information, it would be better to give them right contact person. And for that, you have to do the networking as well. It is not something, if you have a got you have got a job and you have got promoted to the next level, associate or professor level, your job is done. You have to do the networking for next generation, and that next generation would get benefit only when you have a sufficient information to share with them. Then only they would be able to give good contribution in research. And of course, social networking site would be one of the best thing which could help you in that way. What to do once your article is sent to production house? This is a very famous question I always used to ask, and people would have a different answer. We would wait for the publication, or we would start exploring another research article, or we would start having a discussion with the other articles, or we would start taking a data collection, or we would start reading another problem and all. So that means an ongoing process. Of course, life is ongoing process, and you have to retain your position. You have to continue, you have to do efforts continuously. But most important thing is you have to give your time to your family as well. Getting one A or A star category paper, that means you have already spent more than 300 400 hours from your personal life. I'm not talking about corporate life 9 to 5. Out of 9 to 5, you have also spent 3 to 400 hours from your last 2 years, which would have supposed to be spent with your family. Then if you have got one publication, decent publication, then spend some time with your family, go to shopping with your loved one, with your wife, husband, or your boyfriend or girlfriend. Give some time, valuable time to them as well. Don't have a don't go um, don't go against again and again after the success only. Success would wait you, but social life would not wait you. And what if we would get 20-star publications, 30-star publication, or let's say if we would get 100-star publication in a year, we would be staying on earth only. We are not going to promote it to stay on moon. So try to have some humanity with you, and this would be the best time where you could show humanity with people around you, because since last almost 2 years or 1.5 years, we all are struggling and sitting in a house only because of this pandemic, and people need your support. People want to communicate you. People would always look forward your guidance and your contribution to help them as well. Don't look after only me and my research articles. Try to help others as well. Try to give the time to those people, those who are newly started their research journey in this particular field. After getting one publication, give some 20-30 hours, have a schedule at least. 20-30 hours, you would organize some workshop, you would organize some conference, you would help some people in your area where they could also learn how to do this exercise and all. And if you do this exercise, trust me, it would give you happiness, and that kind of happiness or that kind of satisfaction would lead you with a positive energy. And that is a kind of story as well. If you wanted to run for a 400-meter race, then you have to strong your legs. And strong your legs means and that is a kind of thing. In academic, if you wanted to write again another research article for where you are expecting you have to involve with 400-500 hours with your laptop, you need to strong your emotions, you need to strong your mental strength as well. And to strong your mental healthness, it is not possible going through the doctor or getting medicine by the medical shop. It would be possible only when you would socialize with your family and friends. That's all from my side, guys. Now this session is open for any kind of question and query. For next 30 minutes, I would be happy to answer those things. Over to you, Ms. Disha.
Yes, Dr. Arya. So the first question that we would like to take is, they're saying that since there are many theories, how to select the relevant theory as per our research paper?
Okay. Uh, Actually, it's a very subjective question, I would say, and you cannot have any particular answer for this, how to select any particular theory. It would always be depend on your dependent variable. What is your dependent variable, and what ultimately you wanted to figure out? I have seen like independent variable and mediators could have association with your dependent variable, but I would say like ultimately if I wanted to figure out what is the brand attachment, and there are some theories on brand attachment associated with brand attachment, whereas brand attachment would be caused because of mobile apps engagement. Then of course there would be a theory called TAM, technology acceptance model, which would be introduced, which is supposed to be introduced in this particular analysis. But at the same time, if brand attachment would be because of brand value, then of course brand value you are using as an independent variable which are helping consumers to attach with the brand, then you would have to connect with your theory which would be talking about brand value perception or customer perception towards the brand. So those kind of linkage you have to establish when you are building the construct related to your domain. And the most and best suitable way to figure out that is to go through the published article. What are those in those article? Published article means only reputed articles in A or A star category journal. What kind of theory they have taken as a base to strong their literature support or strong their independent and dependent relationship. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. So the next question someone has asked is, can we prefer paid journals for Scopus or Web of Science in the initial days as a research scholar?
Okay. Professor Sudhir, I can see you. Well, you would be agree with me that paid journal is not the solution. Yeah, hello sir. Paid journal would not be the solution. Reason is you could get the short-term success. But if you are targeting the long-term success, and for imagine after 5 years you are in a position to um, encounter the interview at one of the prominent institute, let's say considering any B school, top B school like IIMS or any top B schools, or any international university where you would be targeting. After 5 to 7 years of have successful completing your expertization area in the same domain, you would be stuck where they would reject your profile based on one publication that have got published in paid article, paid journals. And that time you would regret very badly why I have taken that step. Why would not be there someone who guide me not to get publication in this paid article? That is for sure. You could be able to secure your position in a university where university requirement is sometimes just to get a scopus listed journal to defend your thesis, but that would not be the criteria to get enter into the reputed university. And if you ask me, when I was doing my study, my thesis, writing my thesis, I have completed almost 2 years. And my guide was like, I mean, my university, we would used to have a um, research seminar being monitored by directly VC sir or honorable VC sir, and we have to showcase our presentation what kind of paper we have now. And it was almost 2 years. I didn't got any publication by that time, and my guide was like very particular why you are not having any submission in any Scopus listed journal which would be paid, or you could have a submission in any UGC care list as well. I said, sir, I'm in this profession by choice, not by force. If I wanted to do the PhD, then I would go with my submission with the reputed journal. And you would be surprised, I have taken almost 1 year, and I have got my first publication in B category journal, and I submitted my thesis with the two B category submissions, three C category submission, and one E star submission. And that was a kind of record. And if coming from a private university where you would not be having any excess of any EBSCO, you forget about good subscription, we would not be having a subscription access to EBSCO as well. I used to travel from Dehradun to Roorkee IIT. I used to meet with the professor. I used to use their Wi-Fi system. I used to sit in their corridor for 2 hours, 3 hours, or throughout a night as well to download the research articles and thesis as well. And I used to travel number of conferences in IIMS only just to have the access of their library, not to enjoy the conference, just to have the access of their library. And that was a kind of pain I have taken. I have attended almost 33 conferences during my PhD, and all those conferences were in IIMS only. And the only motive was to get the access of their library so that I could get their thesis, I could go through their thesis which are kept in their library, or to go through the to download the thesis and articles as well. If I could do this coming from a very normal background and have done a PhD from a private university, I believe these days resources are unlimited. You could also do the miracle. And I would not strongly suggest you to go for a publication in a paid journal just to complete your formality to defense your viva.
Thank you so much. So the next question is that it is actually difficult for a scholar to wait for 1 year, and there are more people who've asked similar questions saying that, is one author the best, or should we have more than one author, and is a review article selected in a reputed A grade journal or not?
Okay, to answer one thing, there are three questions. Let me answer the
Yes.
first question. Okay, that is waiting for 1 year would not make a sense. Would not make a sense if you are worried that you have to wait for 1 year. Like what I want you to do is, like, there is a video viral from Khan sir. I don't know how many people are known this name, Khan sir, who is a geography teacher and used to do online classes from Patna, Bihar. And he has disclosed one particular video these days, and it is getting viral on YouTube related to COVID-19 vaccine. And he's claiming that people are worried about if they get the vaccination, they would be having a headache or they would be having a fever. Because of this fear, they are not getting vaccination done. And he's claiming that if as a human you cannot handle fever or headache, then it is a question mark of your existence. And same way I would say that as a researcher, if you cannot wait for 1 year, then it would be a question mark for your researcher being a researcher. I'm waiting for one article. As I told you that I have got rejection at fifth level of revision from very A category journal, reputed journal. Then and after 14 months we have got rejection again. We have submitted that article to another journal. It's almost 4 months and still we haven't received the review comment from that article. And getting one paper publication in reputed journal, I would also say that at least 2 years you have to spend on writing part. And again, please keep yourself in a time frame that it would be take another 1.5 year to get the acceptance at least. And it would be, I would say, it would not be that much wrong if I would say you have to be ready for at least 10 to 15 rejection for your article. Talking about second question, having a number of authors in your article, whether to have one author or second author or third author, I would say it would not affect your research outcome until unless it is not financial benefit involved. There are some institutes those who are giving financial benefit to you based on your first author, second author, or they divide your honorarium based on number of authors you have. Whereas there are some institute, they don't count whether you are first author or second author. If you are one of them from their university, they would give you that incentive, or they would, I mean, they would figure out that thing. But the important thing is, if you have a collaboration with few people, you would definitely going to improve your manuscript, because people would be having expertise in their own area. And if you send your manuscript, let's say you say that I have completed the manuscript, and if I involve someone, then what would be the contribution of that person? Of course not. Of course directly there would not be a contribution at the initial level, but that person would increase your manuscript to the next level, where you would not be able to find any rejection based on desk at desk level itself. Or the expedition would help you to handle the comments during the revision itself, and that would be one way. And third important thing is like when you are sharing networking and when you are making a collaboration, then of course you are going to increase your number of publication year by year. You would be like, you would be doing 80% work in one article, you would be and enjoying you would be enjoying another article where you are only supposed to do 20% work in collaboration, rest of the 80% would be done by other team members. So it's a give and take. So networking would have to benefit this. And of course it would not be one way only, giving or expecting 20% from your side and rest 80% would have to be done by other person, would not work for a long. You have to be very competent. And of course if you are trying to collaborate with one good researcher, then you have to competent, or you have to have a skill at least in one area where you could handle something at the great level. Answering your third question, there are a number of journals who are handling articles, review articles as well. Review articles or articles based on literature review would be very much welcome. Like as I know number of journals in A category, like as International Journal of Consumer Studies, International Journal of Retailing and Studies, Consumer Studies again. These two journals are accepting literature review as well. And the articles which I have shown you in the second PPT, I mean second slide of this PPT presentation being published in E-Star journal, one of the article is review article only. So it doesn't matter whether article is review article or article is descriptive one or based on any analysis. It is important is whether you are talking about innovation or not, whether you are delivering any innovative idea or not. Just doing the review would not help you. I have received one article recently, and researchers were expecting to collaborate with me and to get this paper to the next level. Then after going through the article, what I have found that this is just pure a review of selected 20 articles. Review of selected 20 articles is what? There is no contribution from your side. What is the outcome of that particular review? This is what you have to you have to contribute. You have to talk about in your introduction. If you would be able to discuss about that particular outcome, yes, I have done the review of these 20 articles being published in A star, or let's say in B category or A category, or in this particular domain like as tourism only, then based on this particular review, what is my contribution? If you would be able to talk about that particular contribution which is really new, then of course everyone would love to publish your article, as ultimately there are readers, those who wanted to read something new. It is not about journal who is having a cap, I would publish only statistical article, or I would publish only qualitative article. There are readers, if editor would find that my reader would ready to read this article and there is a new for my readers as well, they would definitely publish your article. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you so much. There's a lot of questions from one person. I'm going to try and combine it and say, they're saying that,
Yeah.
sir, our study is based on Indian population, and and how do we write the implications at a global level? That's one. And then they say that we have written a paper, it's taken us 2 to 3 years, but sometimes after it has been finalized, the model has been finalized, but during that time someone else has also submitted a paper on the same lines. What do you do in such a situation when you've got, we are working on a research and someone else has also submitted a similar paper? So what do you do when there are similar topics in the mix?
Okay. To answer this question, probably I skipped that particular PPT or point in my presentation. There was a point like fast in submission. We used to take I mean, preparing an article for 1.5 years is quite okay. It would take time, but when your article is ready, try to submit your article as soon as possible. And I have seen number of time people are taking time to do the revision as well. Like as after getting one rejection and there were comment from the rejections, people used to take 3 to 4 months just to work on those comments only. And those 4 months would have been reduced from 4 months to 15 days as well. If they would have taken that those comments seriously and they start exploring that opportunity day and night, then they would have complete the revision within 15 days or 2 weeks of time as well, and they could increase their chances to get submission first on top. Okay, in that case, it could be possible someone would have already published article on same line. It is quite possible, but in that case, what I suggest you, there would be always chances to modify your paper at some level. Sorry, there would be always chances to modify your manuscript at some level. Try to modify your article, try to introduce something new in that article. And again, I would always say, if your article is really new, your approach is really new, no one can copy that. No one can copy that. There would be similar article, but similar does not mean 100% similar. Of course, journal might say that a similar kind of article we have published in this journal, so we would not be able to entertain your article. Try to find another journal where similar kind of study have not got published. Quite possible, but if there would not be chances 100% similarity based on your article, someone have created the article, I have not seen such kind of case. And it is technically impossible until unless your paper is not getting I would say getting your not paper not taken by someone else illegally from your drive, or you have presented in a conference your idea and you have given your idea to someone else. So I always be very clever whenever I used to present a paper in a conference. I don't want to disclose the entire model in a conference presentation, because ultimately conference presentation would not give you reward or award. The ultimate reward is your publication. So if you are going to disclose your true work in conference, that would put you in trouble some case, especially when you are facing this kind of problem, a kind of thing, duplicacy of your manuscript. I hope I answered the question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to check if Sangeeta is on the line, because the next question is for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yes,
has
Hi,
I'm
some.
Sangeeta.
online.
So the next question is a little bit on the publication side. This someone has asked that, how do you send reminders to publishers even when they have not received response to something they have submitted, or they want to follow up with the a request that has been sent regarding their research.
Okay, so when it comes to submissions, first of all, when you have publishers like Emerald, Sage, Taylor and Francis, we all have systems where you can track the progress of your submission. But even then, when there's times when you are not getting a response, in that case, what I would suggest is that you'll have certain people within the team, not the editor in chief always. It would be possibly be a person from the publisher's team who will be able to answer. So there should be ideally an email ID where you can follow up. But please keep in mind that quite often what happens is that it's not possible for the editors to or the editor in chief to actually sit and respond to every query. So it could take time. Your best bet, like if you go to Envil Publishing site, you'll see editorial board. They'll also mention the publisher in charge of the journal. So they're the ones to write. If you're looking to find out about the stage at which for instance, your paper has been accepted, but it hasn't been published yet. What's happening to it? So there's a content person to be checked with. So this kind of information is available on our websites to know who to follow up with. But understand that has to be a reasonable amount of time given to the editor to respond to your email. So I've seen submission is made one day and 2 days later people request for an update or want a confirmation. So it's very important to understand that your review processes take time. Assigning reviewers takes time, and all the stages do take a few weeks. So keeping that in mind, you can approach the person mentioned according to the website. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, very wonderfully, Miss Sangeeta Menon. First of all, thank you so much to you, Dr. Vikas Arya and Miss Sangeeta Menon for this, and Miss Disha. If you please allow me, I would like to add just the editorial point of view to it.
Yes,
We
sir. Yes, sir.
always, I'm also a scholar myself, and I'm also taking charge of certain journals as editor, senior editor, or editor in chief. But let me tell you what is actually happening. Every scholar want a, a quick response on the paper, but when it comes to reviewing, they do not review. When it comes to give a quality review, they do not do quality review. An editor is always struggle to get the quality reviews. They want somebody to put healthy suggestions to improve the papers, but unfortunately a number of reviews that we get are not of use. So this is one way that all we can come together and save time for each other. Please volunteer for review, and please give constructive reviews. So this is one way that we can handle the situation. I just thought that, okay, I should put it forward. Thank you.
Absolutely, very relevant point, especially since I think one of the processes where we get delayed is reviews, finding right reviewers, and then, like you mentioned, finding healthy review comments from the reviewers that are assigned to. And unfortunately, we also see this experience. We have this experience a lot. Like our website clearly mentions whom to approach at what stage of publication. For example, submitted but not accepted. In that case, who to write to, and if it has been accepted and for publication, but it hasn't appeared yet, then whom to contact. But even then, people tend to ignore that and write immediately to the editor in chief of the journal, and which is a big hassle because, like sir, that editor in chiefs do not have the time to sit and answer, respond to every email, especially when they themselves may not be keeping a track of each and every single paper. That's what the publishers are doing.
Absolutely. In a year, I handle more than 3,000 papers. It's very difficult to remember. For these 3,000 paper, I need 10,000 reviews. Handling
Exactly.
so much email is not possible. It's impossible task, but still we try
As
to respond as much as we can. But we keep the expectation, but as a community citizen, we really need to think about it. We need to take up the job for what we have a complaint. And
and
trust me, I handle 3,000 manuscript on my own, but I still review for many journals. I do. I volunteer
Understand.
myself and I review. So everyone will have to. Every one of us, irrespective of what position we have, we need to get into the reviews and do healthy reviews.
I would like to add here, like being a chief editor of any particular journal, you would be having an equal task as a VC of any particular established university. So this is a scenario of handling, guys. This is a scenario of handling a editor, handling a number of manuscript as a chief editor or editor in charge. And of course, reviewing an article would be a thankless job. You are not going to get any commercial on behalf of this, but I would request all of you, whenever you get the request to review the article, do that immediately as early as possible. Take a time from your busy schedule, because someone at another part of the world would be reviewing your article as well. They would have taken their time from their busy schedule to review your articles, to comment on your article, to support you to get publication done. So this is your equally your responsibility as well, or responsibility as well, to take the initiative to available as a reviewer. You cannot bypass like that. I'm having an expectation to get my paper published in a good journal, but when the journal is sending a manuscript to me to do the review, I'm saying that I don't have a bandwidth to do. You cannot bypass this. You must have to get the time. Everyone is having 24 hours in this world, and if they are supporting from their busy schedule to review your article, then you must also have to give your time to review the article for someone else.
Right. Disha, do we have any more questions?
Oh, we have many questions. We'll
My
take a
God.
few because we have time till 2:30. So the next question is that the person is saying, my question is concerning the rejection point. We are currently using journal finder tools that help us to find the most relevant ones. However, some editors reply that your manuscript is not matching the journal scope. He's saying that I understand, but at least there has to be some approximity to what the journal finders are giving back. Any keyword, abstract, anything. So he's the it's to do with journal finders and that not matching the answers with what the editors are replying back to them.
Okay. Professor Sudhir, you are going to reply or you want me to reply on this?
If you allow me, I can reply, Professor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please.
Well, something that scholar miss is that they are not reader of the journals. They want editors to consider their manuscript. Also, they want reviewers to give healthy comments. They want their manuscript to be published, but unfortunately, they are not readers of the journals. How you can expect that journal should publish your paper if you're not a reader of that journal? So one thing is journal finders just suggest you on the basis of certain keywords, but you must be a reader of the journal in which you want your paper to be published. Simple as that. If you are not a reader, you do not know what level of manuscript are the editor is happy with, what are the ongoing debates in the journal, how focus is getting changed of the journal, what are the kind of issues going on in the journal. You are not aware of anything. So if you blindly hunt the journals, this is the only thing that will happen. You should create a list of the journals that you read and you target to publish with, and keep that up. At least try to browse a number of issues and papers from a journal where you are going to submit your paper. That's the only key. There are no shortcuts, please. Thank you.
If I can add a little bit here from the
Please,
publisher's
ma'am.
perspective. The issue that we
Of
find in a
course.
lot of rejections is because I think Dr. Vikas Arya has already covered this in the importance of your title, why it becomes essential. And we know through the processes, editors do not get much time to go through all the papers. They do not read the entire manuscript. So decisions are made based on a certain aspects of the article. It has to be quick. So they're looking at title and abstract and maybe reference list. So they're looking at certain aspects very quickly to know whether this paper suits the journal or not. And if you haven't written an effective title or an effective abstract, that automatically, unfortunately, becomes a point of rejection. But you need to understand that point also from the perspective of the editor to know why your paper could be rejected, even if the entire content of the paper actually aligns with the journal. So over to you, Dr. Arya. Do you wish to add to that?
Exactly, Miss Sangeeta. It's a very valid point. There are n number of things in the manuscript. If you miss even a single thing, which could be a reason to reject your manuscript, desk level or editor would not be very supportive to you to reject your manuscript. They would reject your manuscript immediately, because at desk level it is not a kind of selection. It is a kind of rejection. They used to receive more than 1,000 articles probably in a month or in a 3 months, and they don't have a time to go through all those articles. What they and the people at this level as well, probably Professor Sudhir would agree on me on this point. They have a particular set of bullet points. If your manuscript is matching with those bullet points, they will forward those manuscript to the chief editor for their consideration. Otherwise they would reject those manuscript from their end only. They would not put up the burden to the chief editor to take the decision. So almost, as I shown you the diagram, almost 40 to 50% manuscript got rejected at desk level, and there would be a chance of error, like you have not taken the referencing style seriously, or referencing styles are mismatched with AP style and some other styles, or your headings are not in proper format, or there would be some gap in font size as well. There would be some basic mistakes as well, which you would not be able to identify by your own, but you would stuck that journal is rejecting my manuscript. Again, as you have mentioned, that probably there would be chances journal have already published the similar kind of study in their article in their journal, similar kind of study, but when you are trying to submit that, they are saying that the aims and objectives are not matched. Try to understand that reviewers or desk editor people, those are desk level, they are not having number of responses to respond to you. They would respond you in a fixed way, and that fixed way would not tell you what is the mistake in your article. You have to identify what is the mistake in your article. Probably your word limit is extensive, and they could not be able to entertain that much of lengthy article in their journal, and that is because of production house limitations, and they would have to give an answer to you, and that answer would not match with the quality of your journal. But you have to figure out what is the essential background is author's guideline. If you have missed the author's guideline, you are going to face the rejection. Doesn't matter whether it is going to frame the real problem or it is going to answer you in a copy paste format.
Thank you so much. The next question will be our last question, but I think it's an important one because we have got
Yes,
editors, we've got someone from the publishing side as well, and I think this should be taken. So
yes.
now someone is saying that what to do if you figure out that a reviewer of the paper asked you to revise your paper thrice, but only to keep you engaged and buying time for himself, and publish a similar paper in another journal, the journal who he himself is the chief editor. And he's saying that if this has happened to me, and when I submitted my paper in an A grade journal, in an emerald journal, they found a similar paper was published in another B grade emerald journal. So a similar paper was already published, and the reviewer kept on delaying the process, and he found that that particular, I don't know if he was a reviewer or a particular person, there was a similar paper published. What should he be doing now?
If you don't mind, I'll take this one up to begin.
Yes, please.
So we do have, unfortunately, a lot of cases that come up because of plagiarism and ideas being stolen. And if you have been a victim of such a similar practice, the first thing that you need to do is contact the publisher and highlight it. So what we need is evidence of the transaction, that is your paper being submitted and going through the process. And what we do is we have legal teams who will establish what the timelines have been, and they will investigate this accusation to take the proper action against a person if they have indeed done some malpractice during the publication process. And it's a long process because it is done according to the rules set by your committee of publication ethics, but there is a proper process to it that we as publishers are able to support you with, so that you are able to claim back your paper or your idea. And we also are able to stop somebody who has actually taken the step to take your idea and publish it as their own, so trying to take credit. So first thing that you need to do is contact your publisher immediately and highlight this issue.
I would also like to share here one incident which has happened recently, probably 2-3 months back, with one of the prominent researcher at international level. He was a professor. He has got published 2 articles back to back within a gap of 3 months. And when the second article got published, it has found that the first article was under production, which has got acceptance prior to that. But after getting the first article got published, I mean, second article got published first. First article got acceptance first, but the product publication time was delayed, and when it has got online, it has got similarity index with the second article. Then the journal have taken the step to withdraw that paper and block that particular author as well. You cannot take the similarity by chance or being a very smart in that case, where you are submitting an article from your own only, using the similarity or some kind of portion from that article which has already got accepted but not published yet. So if a journal can take action against that particular established author as well, related to this malicious practice, then definitely if you have an evidence and if you have forced to the publishers, definitely they would entertain your query immediately.
If you please allow, I can just add a
Yes, yes,
few
sir.
lines to it. It is that if it is coming from a reviewer side, see, when a manuscript is get into the production, it's effort on not only of an author, it's also effort of an editor who is handling the manuscript. It's also effort of the reviewer. So you need to see it as a complete package. It if the practice is coming from a reviewer, I'm 100% sure that if a manuscript is reached at the final leap of the decision, especially into the third revision and the fourth revision, it clearly shows that editor is interested into the manuscript, editor is not rejecting the manuscript. You can engage the editor into the conversation in the first go if it is coming from the reviewer. If it is coming from the editor and it is a senior editor or associate editor, you may probably reach to the editor in chief. If editor in chief themselves are involved, then you can reach to the publisher. So I mean, if it is coming from reviewer or associate editor or senior editor, please try to reach to the editor in chief, because they're aware that your manuscript has gone number of revisions, and they can then probably find the reasons for it. They do it. And I have handled at least 10 plus cases of the same situation where I took the decision, where I have not sent the manuscript back to the same reviewer, and I said that no, I have considered your reviews, and this is my call now to take the decision. I have taken decision on my own. So you need to believe on the merit and scholarship of the editors as well, if it is coming from the reviewer. Otherwise, you can reach to the publisher. This is my suggestion.
Yes.
This will save your
I
time.
think, sir, I think when it comes to such cases, you'll agree that it is not an isolated decision. It's the editor, the publisher, everyone has to come together to make the
Absolutely.
decision to find out, because that's what happens behind the scenes. Once a report has come, either through the editor or through the publisher, it's never taken
Absolutely.
in isolation.
Absolutely, ma'am. And even when complaint will come to me, if suppose I'm the editor, you're going to reach to me in that case. So my point of view will come there as well. So like editor cannot be skipped from the process.
No, no.
Exactly.
Absolutely. In fact, just to give one example very quickly, because uh, here the question that was phrased was in a manner that shows that the person was aware of the reviewer taking that idea. The other aspect, which a similar case that we faced, which I think is trickier, was when we had one of the papers that was published, and then we got somebody who reached out to me and said that my paper, this is my idea, I presented at a conference and I'm shocked to see it in an emerald journal, and what we were able to investigate, we checked with the author, we checked with the institute, and what we came to know is that this student finally admitted having taken that idea from a conference and passed it off as her own. Now the thing is, the first author, the original author, her paper was in the process of being published, which is why it never showed up in any of the plagiarism tools as well. But with our legal team and with working with the editors, both of the journal where the article was accepted and where this first the original author had submitted,
We all had to work together and set the timelines to find out how, when, and what had happened exactly. So this is just one of the ways that how a big team of people actually comes together to resolve every single case.
Absolutely. And this is what also happened when we pursue the case to the COP. So we all will have to submit our reports and comments.
Yes.
That
I
is
think
absolutely.
sorry. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming together today. Before, just one second. Before we begin with the vote of thanks, I would like to mention one thing. I have received numerous questions asking for whether we'll receive the slides for today's session. I'd like to tell you that we will not be sharing slides, but everybody will be receiving the recording of the session, of each session. Even after when the entire program is over, we'll share a consolidated list of recordings of all the sessions that have happened so far. So please, and individually also we will send it. So it should not be, there should not be any worries on that front. So so you will receive the recording, and you will be able to refer to it in your in the future. Thank you. Please, I would like to invite Dr. Naotunna to take it forward, please.
Thank you, Ms. Desha, and permission from everyone. Hope you can hear me well.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. We can.
How
Okay.
to publish? Okay, thank you so much. How to do good research and how to publish those research in good journals are key questions which are coming into the mind of any researcher. So having considered these two key questions, Emerald Publishing, Gulf Medical University UAE, and Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka, got together and initiated the webinar series, which is called Writing Impactful Research. So as a result of that, today we conducted the second webinar, and I'm here to thank for the significant individuals, those who have made the webinar a success. So let me thank first. Actually, I want to extend a very hearty word of thanks for Professor Vikas Arya. Thank you so much, sir,
My
for
pleasure,
your
madam.
generosity and humbleness and explaining us very clearly on what are the innovative ways that we need to follow and giving so many other tips and tricks on publishing our research papers. Of course, your advices were tremendously helpful. I believe that we had today around 1,000 participants. All of them got benefited. Thank you so much, and we wish you all the best in your future research endeavors. And thank you for telling and reminding us it's all about commitment. And you can't get the things in overnight, but it's all because of hard work. Thank you so much for inspiring, motivating, and giving us these thoughts, and hope that everybody will follow your thoughts and they will make this earth a better place through their research.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor, for giving me this opportunity. And I would always remind this thing again and again. It's there is no shortcut in success. And when you get the success, please contribute back to your society in terms of your output. That would give you happiness. Thanks. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you so much. And your thoughts
Thank you
are
so
very
much.
purposeful, and we really inspired. Thank you so much once again. And let me thank few key figures from the Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. First of all, Professor Athula Jnanapala, Dean, Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka, and Professor M.S.M. Aslam, and all the other committee members from the Research and Publication Unit of our faculty. As well as I can see key figures, those are smiling and joining in all the webinars, and they're sharing their thoughts with us. They are the regional coordinators. First, my hearty thank goes to Dr. Jayantha Devasiri, Senior Lecturer, Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. He's the one who coordinating with us all these things and with other coordinators. Thank you, sir. As well as, Madam Sangeeta Menon, and you are known to our faculty and to the other global researchers now. Thank you so much for your wonderful support. As well as, Sir, Professor Sudhir Rana, Thank you, and we are inspired for your smiling face and you're joining in every moment and sharing your thoughts. Thank you so much for your wonderful support as well. As well as, yeah, Miss Disha Lakhanpal, she was the one who coordinated with us and sharing all these details. Thank you so much for your wonderful support as well. And in addition to these names, I would like to thank all the distinguished officials from Emerald Publishing, and your support and contribution is enormous and we highly appreciate. Also, all the officials from Gulf Medical University and Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. Sometimes we might not mention all of your names. We're really sorry for that, but we want to remind all of you. Most importantly, we believe the most important people or the party of any webinar are the participants. So we need to extend a big thank for all the participants, including all the senior professors, senior academics, visiting faculty, and other researchers, industry participants for taking part in this webinar series, as well as particularly in today's webinar. Thank you so much. As well as, so Emerald Publishing is remarkable, and we need to remind again and again all the officials from Emerald Publishing. We know we can understand how hard conducting a webinar series like this, but all the individuals that I mentioned today, they have made a tremendous effort and their commitment to make this webinar a success. Thank you, everyone. And with the hope of meeting once again in another impactful webinar like this, we're going to wind up for today. Have a great time until we meet once again. Go forward in your research journey. Never stop. If you work hard, only sky would be the limit for you. Thank you, everyone, once again, and stay safe, everyone.
Yes,
Thank you
that's
so
most
much.
important.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe, stay healthy,
Thank you.
everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, Professor. Bye-bye.
Sorry.